See the lighting?
Soon enough, he'll be up here, right? Are you ready? All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out. My name is Marco, and I'm the CEO of Segunda Mano Magazine. For those of you that don't know, it's a print publication that advertises your business to the Latino community, and then I'm also the CEO for Vale Saber, and that is an online company that creates content geared towards helping, informing, and entertaining the Latino community. And so our website helps advertisers grow sales through content by informing them about your product or service. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about why we chose to go the content route. But today, everything I'm going to talk about today is about storytelling. And the reason for that is that storytelling always wins. We live in a time where everybody is so focused on maximizing views, maximizing shares, likes, engagement, sales, event sales, workshop sales. At the end of the day, it's the short-term financials, right? And this is where I want you to pay close attention. What I want you to do is make the financials that you need to survive, to live, and maybe that one or two things that are going to make you happy. I don't know, a trip to Las Vegas, a trip to Europe, whatever it is that's going to make you happy, but then the remaining dollar opportunities, I want you to reinvest them in where you want to go. I reinvest in content creation, in the sharing and the distribution of my thoughts. And the reason that I do that is because I understand that content, I share my value with you and anybody else that wants to consume it. And the reason for that is that I understand that storytelling is branding. And branding is long term. Sales is going to be short term. And I'm not in it to make the quick buck, and neither should you. I share my knowledge with you today so that you can learn how to be successful on your own. But I also understand that there's going to be people that don't have the skill, the time, or whatever else it may be to execute. And so over time, I am creating the opportunities that will allow me to trade my knowledge in the future. And that is what content marketing is all about. There's one thing that I want you to take away from this today. It is the following. Today in 2017, this is the TV, right? And so Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, they're going to be your ABC, your ESPN, your Univision. And just like TV, you don't watch it to look at ads. The same thing with social media. There's nothing more annoying and less interesting than ads. And so what you want to do is you want to build content around what you want to help that audience. And so there's going to be different types of contents that you could create, but in a nutshell, what you want to create is going to be content that informs people about your product or service. So what is it? How does it work? This is where I love product reviews. And one of the things that I would recommend each of you do is rather than go and invest on ads, find a publication, Segunda Mano if you're trying to reach the Latino community, Más Vale Saber if you're trying to reach them digitally, or any other publication, and pay for a product review. Because then what you can do is you can use that product review as your PR strategy to let people know, hey, this is what people think about my product or service. This is how it works. Another type of content is going to be educational. So how do you use your product or service? How has it helped others? And then the other one is going to be influential. So content that increases your influence. So the more and more you create content, the more and more people are going to start seeing you as an expert, and the more and more they're going to trust on your product or service. Now, I want you to also realize that we live in an age where we are competing with everyone. When I'm on Facebook, when I'm on Snapchat, I'm not just competing with the marketers out there. I'm competing with the people that are talking about football, tech, beauty, health, news, right? So what you need to realize is that you need to make content, you need to give your content the best chance of succeeding. And the way you're going to do that is by sharing the most amount of content that you can, as long as it is valuable and it is great, and that's how you're going to break through. And so one of the best types of contents that I would recommend that you guys do as you are starting out is put a blog on your website and write about your product or service. I know we have a lawyer, right? Michael Cordova Law Firm. So you want to talk about those testimonials of the people that you have been able to help. You know, where did they start? How did you help them? Have them give a testimonial. And then guess what? Video is great because you put it on your post and they can see those live-to-live interactions with a human being. If you're a realtor, you know, write content. Don't write content that is going to sell them on why they should buy a house and how it's the best time, but rather give them the tips and advice that they need. Hey, did you know that there's this program out there? Did you know that if you do this, you can pay less? You want to be able to help them. And then create video as well, because you got to realize that people consume content differently, and so you gotta cater to all learning styles, whether that is writing copy, video, or audio. So what you do is over time, as you create that content, you're going to have analytics, and you're going to know, okay, this piece of content did really well, and this video did really well. So once you know which videos and which content pieces did really well, then guess what you're going to do? You're going to do exactly the opposite on those. So if you wrote something that did really well, now you're going to create a video about it for the people that might consume it in video form. And then the same thing, maybe you had a video that did extremely well. Well, now you're going to write about it, and you're going to cater to the other people that might consume the information differently. And so today I know that this workshop is about video, and so I'm actually going to ask you to take out your phone right now, and if you can go on Facebook, so everybody take out their phone, and I'm going to give you a video that we created that talks about sales versus branding, and you can access it at a later time for your reference. Hey Mario, can you pop up on on the TV, the Facebook, and you're going to go on Facebook and you're going to search Marco Porras. And just make sure that you add me on the page, and I'll show you here shortly. And then once you add me, you can go ahead and like me, or just send me a message as well, and I will shoot you over a video that we made that talks about everything regarding sales and branding, which one should you do, which one is better for your business. I can tell you, so right there, Marco Porras, the guy in the red, that's the one you want. P-O-R-R-A-S? Yes. Got it? Found it?
Just this one pops up.
Let's see here. You might need to hit a. Let's see. Let's try this again. There you go. And then just send me a message, and I'll send you a video on it. Was everybody able to find me? Well, anyway, so one of the biggest questions that I get when it comes about branding is, why would I want branding when I can make the immediate sale right now, right? Like, why would you invest time, money, and effort on branding when you could just put out ads and make that quick buck, that quick sale, and you can do it over and over again, right? So the thing about branding is that what you need to realize is that people right now, in this moment of time, not everyone is ready to buy your product or service. And so while the rest of the competition is over there focusing on that day-to-day sales, you need to also focus on the people that are going to potentially become your clients. And the way you do that is by putting out content that is constantly helping them and providing value, even entertainment, so that when the time comes for when they need your service, they're going to be able to recall you and call you. That's why branding is so important. If you focus on the day-to-day sales, you know, if let's say I got in a car accident, I'm looking for an accident attorney. The reality is people are not going to go on Facebook and they're not going to go on, okay, let me look for an attorney. They're going to go on Google, right? What you need to do is you need to have established such strong branding that when I get into a car accident, I don't need Google. I know, oh, whose content do I see all the time? Michael Cordova. So it's no longer about accident attorney on Google. It's about Michael Cordova. What's his law firm? Where's his phone number? That is what you want. But to get to that point, you need to invest in branding and keep nurturing them so that when they are ready to buy, they're going to call you. The same thing with real estate. You know, I right now don't need to buy a home, but maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, I do. But if I'm constantly consuming your content about buying home, best practices, when is the year to buy, and all this other stuff, when I am ready, I'm going to remember that realtor that always pushed out that content that was helpful, informative, or entertaining. So without further ado, I'm going to have Mario come up here and talk a little bit more about his videos, some of the best practices that he sees, some of the types of videos that he can create, and then I'm sure we're going to get a chance to play along with some of the technology and the videos that he can make. Which, by the way, I don't know if everybody got a chance to speak to Mario, but the awesome thing about this studio is you can make very highly professional produced videos in 1 hour. So it's no longer about having somebody come over here and take your video and then they got to go back and they got to edit it and then you probably get it in a week or two. No. If I understand correctly, Mario, you come here in 1 hour and you've got, if you're prepared, you've got at least 4 videos. At least.
I watched somebody do 8 videos in half an hour the other day. 8 videos. So.
Come on up, Mario.
All right, well. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, you guys. Well, you know, first off, let me start by saying this. I am you. I am not the creative. I am not a video expert, all right? I'm a businessman. I've had restaurants and bars in the past 14 years. Now I'm in the insurance practice. I'm very intrigued with the online subscription-based businesses that are going on there. I'm seeing all these people make fortunes out there on this thing called the internet. And the one primary thing that they all have video. So as I'm looking to market myself and understand exactly the message that Marco just portrayed right there, that it's the story that sells. I was the feature puker. I was the guy, hey, this is what I do, this is my service, I can do all this for you, no. And I never stopped to try to connect with my client and try to touch base on what their needs were, what their concerns were. And we can do that through video. We can start engaging, ask that question, and then address it. Start leading people down that path of how this is your pain, this is how we're going to help your pain and alleviate that pain. And then ultimately we get to the point where we provide a service and we solicit that service and then hopefully end up converting into a sale. But we have to do that first by connection, and he's right. The story is where it's at. It is such a different time from our generation, compared to these guys' generations. They grew up with this. Those of us who, post 40s, we did not grow up with this. And what none of us realize, this has only been around since 2008. So it's evolving immensely. So the power that we have here with this studio is that now, because of this, not that I'm a video expert, I'm just like you. I'm going through the process and learning how to properly create the videos, which we'll kind of touch on a little bit, but I'm also finding out exactly from guys like Marco how these videos are going to be utilized, where they're going to be utilized, who's going to be my target audience. So I'm able to convey it, and our goal here is to break it down in layman's terms, so you're not hearing creatives jargon that we don't understand. Some of us do, some of us don't, but by and large we don't. Power what I'm seeing here is that we're surrounded now. We're not an all-encompassing advertising agency. We provide video content. As Marco alluded to, we can do it more affordably than anybody, because we are trying to eliminate post-production as much as possible. Where video gets very expensive, when you go on site, these guys, to create good content, they have to come out and they have to have the lighting correct. If it's windy at all, well, there goes your mic. All the scratchiness. There's a lot of potential variables that these creatives out there, these videographers, have to deal with. And the way they deal with that is they bring, and you can attest to it, gentleman in the back was in video apparently for a lot of years. And you told me something that was very intriguing earlier. What was the average budget that you guys would take on? $200,000. And this was in the 90s. If you wanted to come through video, they would not touch you unless you had a $200,000 budget. They would look at you if you said you had $100,000 and go, maybe not. Those times have changed. But even still, they still haven't come down to the point from most of the videographers that I've talked to out there. They haven't got to the point where it's just what we truly can afford, because in all reality, we are spending money every single which way when it comes to advertising. And it's very frustrating as the business owners, because we just sit there, spin. We typically don't have the stomach to let it go for 6-8 months before it really starts hitting that true power. Which again, social media is changing, so you can really engage quickly now, right? Am I correct? Where you can actually see some quick sales, whereas in the past, when we're talking about print, it was usually said in there you had to keep it going for at least 8 months before you can expect to really see traction. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so if I'm not mistaken, I think when you talk to a lot of the marketing gurus out there, they think you have to be in front of the consumer at least, on average, 11 times before they will consider buying. Isn't that the kind of general rule, the number I've heard? So in the past, I used to spend a ton of money in newspaper, in print, all kinds of publications, segunda manos, things, all of that nature. And now I'm kind of spent on print, and that's precisely why we built out this video studio, because now we have the flexibility to go any direction we want. We can pivot. We can do a nice clean white background look here, as you were seeing on, it went off there, but as you guys all saw, we can start here. We're able to record this right now. In addition to that, we're able to stream it live if we chose to. We could be on Facebook Live right now, Instagram Live, Facebook, any of the mediums out there. We can do what's called an open group, or we can do a closed group. So that way you have to have a link to access this particular feed. So depending on what kind of product and service that you are trying to solicit or sell, this is a very functional facility for that reason. So now let's get in and talk to a little bit about just making a video. This has been a very frustrating process for me, guys. I'll be honest. It's been a lot of hard lessons learned. Again, I'm not a video guy, so when it's really interesting when I run across a video guy and they just take for granted that I am, because this is my studio. I'm not. I am a guy who wants to do it more affordably, so I'm going to build it out myself, surround myself with professionals, and just listen, just learn. Tell me about social media, tell me about video. So when it comes to video, if you watch my first videos, I spent a lot of time feature puking. I didn't tell the story. I didn't feel on the pain. I wasn't connecting with the consumer. I didn't understand, on top of that, I wasn't able to understand where this video was going to be used. So I couldn't tell you, I wasn't really putting much forethought in who my target audience is. And so when I got in front of the camera, I really didn't know how to deliver my message, because I wasn't really sure who's going to see this message. Was this video for my website? Originally, I just wanted video for my website. I wanted a library of videos. Being an insurance agent, I wanted you to be able to go to my website and hear about, this is what I do. Here's all the things that I sell, and here's how I can help you, blah, 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 blah. Whereas now, videos, we're really trying to provide more of an educational value. We're trying to provide a connection, and we're working specifically because now understanding what Marco was saying, we're learning to tell the story, not sell our product. And it all starts there, guys. And from once you understand kind of the story you're trying to tell, once you understand what markets you're trying to reach, what mediums you're going to use, are these videos solely for your website? Are you going to be using them for social media? Are you going to be using them for email automation campaigns? Because that's the way of the future. All these big boys out there, you see them all. These guys are making millions, and I assume if you're in this room, that's the target, that's the goal. It's not to make a couple thousand. We want to make millions like everybody else. And we want to do it easier. So what you're finding with these companies, they're doing all of it. They have a great clean website. They have all the SEO on there. And when it comes to videos and SEO, this is what is really important too. This is something I didn't realize. If you're trying to drive traffic to your website and SEO, you're spending a lot of money in SEO. Video is huge. If you've got the right person optimizing your video, and that's a complete science in itself. You have to have the video first, but then that video and how it's listed on YouTube, how it's listed on Vimeo, how it's listed on these other channels out there, all brings power. So that way when you type in Google a search for whatever that widget is, Google recognizes video SEO first. And they're going to continue. Video is the way of the future. So if you're not engaging now, honing in your skill now, or you're just getting behind every day. So what we're learning through here, you have to kind of start at the beginning. Come in here, get in front of the camera, because it's kind of nerve-wracking initially, especially when you know that this thing's captured and everybody's going to be staring at you. And you can't just erase it. It's not just words, so they hear your tone, they hear your inflection, they see your facial expressions, they hear when you sneeze and wipe your nose, all that good stuff. So when you start thinking about this, it's kind of nerve-wracking in the beginning, and you get over it, and you realize, you know what, we can always cut it. You can always snip that piece out. It's no big deal. But in all reality, as consumers, we're really getting used to being okay with people not being perfect on camera. As long as the video is clear, as long as the audio comes across as clear, we can deal with a lot. We don't expect perfection like we used to. It's not like the people are watching it on TV. They're watching it right here. I forget the percentage and the statistic that, you probably know this. How many people are using their phones and watching these ads on their phone versus their PC?
So 90% watch it on their mobile device.
90%. So think about that. That's a pretty small little screen. So that leaves you a lot of wiggle room if you mess up. So what we do, we have people come in like me. I just touched the mic there. Bad. Taboo. Now that's going to be recorded because we are recording this just for internal purposes. But now because I touched the mic, now we're going to right? So gentleman in the back would be, we got to come back and reshoot, right? So there's a lot of little tricks of the trade in this. Some people are just natural. They can come up and right out of the gates, they just come up. They're not intimidated. They can just deliver their message like it's nobody's business. It's so impressive, and I'm extremely jealous of those folks because I'm not that guy, all right? I need the teleprompter. I like to script it out. Script writing and copy are two different things, all right? You have copy that's used for that are going out in social media, that you're putting on your posts, you're putting on your website, that's copyright. And then you have script writing. All right? You have people out there, specialists out there, who write scripts. Honestly, anymore, I think it's probably, I don't know if it's more advantageous, but I think people connect better if you're just real. They see you, they get to know you, the person. They know that you like Jaguars, and this is why you like Jaguars, and you're passionate about this, and it's just something you're into, and it gets you excited, and they witness that excitement. They see that and the realness, and even if you kind of mess up your message a little bit, they're able to connect because, hey, you know what, I like cars as well. So it's interesting when you bring the realness. But there are script writers. We do have the teleprompters, and I know personally I'm much more comfortable when I'm just reading it off a teleprompter. But I've got to almost have it verbatim. If I mess up at all with reading that script, I can't. I get too nervous.
You're doing a pretty good job today.
Well, that's because this is live. I'm okay live. I can have a conversation. But when I know it's being recorded and I'm trying to, for some reason, mentally and personally for me, it's difficult. So, it kind of starts with that script, whether you're going to freestyle or you're going to script it. And at that point, from there, it definitely comes down to your look. To go back to our initial conversation, back in the day, if they messed up anything, they couldn't tell right then and there. So they'd go through and shoot, go into post-production, and then all of a sudden they'd realize they messed up a piece of it. So the whole entire crew would have to come back out. The talent would have to go up there and spit an image of how they were looking that day. Lighting had to be the same. Everything had to be identical. Even if the socks were different, it was a problem, right? So, you're getting into wardrobe. You're considering all these things. So it's, do you want, for me personally, I'm going with the same look every time. Right or wrong, I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the way I'm playing it. I'm using the same shirt, the same jacket every time on my videos, and that way if I mess up, I can use stuff from the past, the future. You're never going to really be able to tell.
You'd be the next progressive girl. What's her name?
Flo.
Flo.
Yeah, great. Flo Mario. Thanks, perfect. I just got probably a new nickname. Thank you for that. But, it gets into your wardrobe. And then from there, what kind of look are you looking for? The great thing about the green screen, which I didn't understand, for those of you who've been in this world, you understand. For those of you who have not been in this world, this green screen situation over here, they do what's called keying out, right? So we're giving basically, the camera is taking in a lot of digital information, And then from there, they use software to key out the background and then put in whatever behind it that you want. All right, so it's still capturing what's in the ground, whether it's you, whether it's that banner, whether it's a tree, whether it's some pieces of a set, tables, chairs, whatever else. And then we can transform the background to anything and everything. So Avatar was 100%, shot on green screen. We don't realize that. Majority, once you start shooting your own videos on this, and next time you watch TV, guaranteed you're going to start picking apart, and you're going to recognize, oh my God, green screen, green screen, green screen. And so it's very powerful. So as much as whatever your imagination can put together, you really have the opportunity to put it behind you. It's just a matter, do we have the video? Do we have the photo? Do we have the image of what you're trying to look like behind you? Do you have the video, what's called B-roll? There's this thing called B-roll out there I didn't understand. What is this terminology? B-roll. B-roll is, basically it's just clips of videos behind you. So you can, once we have a library of content and videos and images and whatnot, and you come in with a direct path, you understand, okay, this is my message, what I'm trying to say, this is how I want to go about it, this is how I'd like it to look. Well, as long as we have all of that imagery up front, we can, like you said, you can leave with that finished product. We can put it in place, you can convey your message, you can leave with it. If not, no worries. You can go to post. That's a great thing. You have a safety net. None of this has to be shot perfectly up front. You have a safety net. We can chop it, go to post. Yes, it's a little more money. So the goal is to get it right out of the gates. And the way that we're going to get you getting it right out of the gates is teaching you, educating you, getting you in here, understanding what you're trying to accomplish, understanding all these steps, helping you come in here, and that way you can pull up, like I just saw the gentleman do, pulled up, mic'd up really quickly, got in front of the camera, okay, go. Half hour later, 8 videos. I couldn't believe it. That's the most I've seen so far. 8 videos in half an hour, and I was super impressed. And you're talking a lot of some of them were 30 seconds, some of them were 2.5 minutes. And so what is the time for social media engagement? What are we looking for?
So actually the average attention span in video, I think, is like under 10 seconds. But ideally you want your video to be 30 seconds, highly engaging, and after that, anything after 30, you just gotta make sure it is very engaging, otherwise people aren't going to finish it. But I would aim for 30 seconds. If you really need that minute or extra, just make sure you're providing such valuable information that they're going to stick around. But the first 10 seconds are crucial. You pitch.
That's not very long.
No, it's not.
Wow.
Yeah. But we see it all the time with videos that we do. I'm sure you see it with videos. I mean, Facebook will tell you the amount of video views that you get from 3 seconds to 25%, 50, 75, 100%. And the longer your video is, the less and less people stay to watch it.
That's the great thing now. You get the right team behind you. They have the analytics to teach you, to analyze exactly what you've put together. And so it's been very intriguing for me to, again, sit down with Marco and listen to the methodical process on how we're going to determine what video to use that's going to draw the most audience. So we all hear about this thing called pay-per-click, right? We've all heard this term. What does that mean? I just assume that, okay, I do this little search on Google and it tells me, okay, I'm going to pay so much of every time somebody clicks. Well, in all reality, when it comes to social media, there is a price for the campaign, but depending on how many people actually engaged in your campaign, it ultimately determines how much it's driving down the cost of pay-per-click. So it's important that they have video content, different styles of content to play with and run these tests with, and that way they're going to test different keywords and different different starting points, starting phrasing. They're going to test copy. They're going to test video samples, and ultimately to find out which one is most engaging on a percentage level. And that way, when you do pay Facebook that $100 for the day or $300 for the day, whatever that number is, it reaches not only the most amount of people, but people engage with it. Because just because it's out there, and just because we've all been there and we've swiped up, well, I know you guys haven't, too young. But for those of us who are on Facebook, when you're kind of scrolling through, we all see these ads that we just pass by, and for whatever reason, we click. Well, that's a science, and that's what these gentlemen do. But we've got to give them the correct content so that they have a fighting chance. Right? It's got to, everybody I talk to, whether it's from my website, whether it's from my social media, whether it's from my email automation stuff we're putting together, it all starts with content. It drives me nuts. But It's necessary.
That's true, that's the key. We ran a campaign for a realtor, and let's just assume for simplification, it was costing us $1 per click, which is a lot if you're on Facebook. If it's costing you $1 per click, you're doing something wrong. But let's assume that she was paying $1 per click. We optimized it and just switched out an image and dropped the cost by 50%. So now you're paying 50 cents per click, which in the grand scheme of things is a huge difference, and you're reaching double the amount of people just for switching out an image. Now imagine if you're doing video, you want to test, this pitch versus this pitch, this background versus this background, the headlines. And over time, you're going to get a better idea of what works and what doesn't. And you want to make sure that you're reaching the right audience, because that's the power of social media. If I'm a realtor, you can target people that live in apartments, that live in a house but are renting, and then based on their users' behaviors, you can actually do this on Facebook. You can tell Facebook, hey, I don't want you to show this ad to people that own a home. I want you to show it to people that rent an apartment, that rent a home. But not only that, that their behavior has shown that they have logged into Trolia, any real estate apps. Because if they have that behavior, it's very, very likely that they're looking for a home. And so now when they're seeing your content, when they're seeing your video, you're not spending it on Mario that isn't like remotely looking for a home. You're spending it on people are renting right now and are using those apps. Makes a huge difference.
Kind of scary how intrusive the internet is, right?
Yes.
Oh boy, once you start understanding what, the abilities of what these certain, especially in these certain fields, what they can track, it's concerning. No question. But again, being on our side of the fence, being the, merchant trying to reach out to consumers, it's powerful. It's a way to maximize your dollar spend. I mean, none of us want to spend money on marketing and advertising. I mean, who wants it? You just kind of feel like you're throwing money out the door. It's kind of driving down the...
And it's a better experience for the both of us at the end of the day, because as a consumer, you might be looking for a home, and now you start seeing your feed related to like home things that are going to help you buy a home. That's helpful. You're not seeing some random thing about buy socks.
Yeah, and on the advertising end, it's also pretty good, because what was it before? The yellow pages, $10,000, $5,000?
That was a lot. I used to spend at least $600 a month for my restaurant, and that's just one restaurant.
Right, a full page though was like
Oh, it was crazy. Full page was sick. I mean, that was only for, I think, a little bigger than a business card. It wasn't even quarter page, maybe quarter page.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of money. So that was only one piece. And then on top of that, you have zero analytics.
Right.
So now what's fantastic is we actually have the ability to check and see. I've got software where I can put up a video, send it to you, and I know when you've opened it. I know if you stop watching at 25%, 50%, 75%. And based off your behavior, I'm remarketing you based off exactly your own actions. You can customize all these processes, and I'm sure there's certain functionality like that in the social media world. I don't know. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not, but you can bet it's coming. What I'm referring to on all those triggers, that's on the email automation side. So it's truly amazing, but again, it all starts at the beginning, and that is content. That's story, copy, imagery, is a video. I mean, we have to have those things. That's just if you're in business, it's just part of business. How much you're choosing to spend, I don't know. I know talking to a guy who sold his company for $25 million, he was spending $250,000 a month. That's what he was spending. So I mean, you do the numbers on that. He's spending, that's quite a bit. It sounds like quite a bit. He's spent $3 million a year on marketing. He turned around and sold his business for $25 million, not to mention how much money he made that whole way. Those numbers aren't too bad. I can deal with that. And he was also leveraging his time that whole time. So that's the great thing about the digital side, is we really get focused on the dollars as a business owner, but what do we really care about? Time. It's time with our family. It's time with how much time we're engaging. So we're able to leverage time. So I'm excited, guys. We're going to be learning a lot. And again, the goal here for us is we're going to try to bring it down to the business level, all right, to help it make it understandable. All right. So how happy to show. I don't know if there's any other things you want me to touch on, or.
No, let's see some demos.
Demos. We'll see. This is okay. I've got to get Derek in here. So I, by no means, this system is very sophisticated. So Derek is my technical guru on this. I've made it a point. I'm a very inquisitive individual, so once I start learning something, I want to keep going. So I've made it a point not to learn that because I don't want to get distracted. I need to stay focused on building my business, not playing with video equipment. So I can do so much. And we'll bring up the camera. I think I know we have the camera here. And then I can make it, I know I can turn, let me see if nothing else, I'll get Derek to turn it so we can do some more green screen. And maybe if we could, we'll just get everybody a second to get in front of it, and we can put some imagery behind you just to get your wheels turning. Okay? We'll start there. Does anybody have any questions? No? All right. You should let you guys.
They'll have questions once they're up there.
Right. All right. Well, okay, great. Well, thank you guys for
Thank you very much
your
for
ears.
coming out.